Every wand in the wizarding world has two parts, a wood and a core. But the movies spent only 4 minutes on this and we're gonna need a little longer. Let's start with the cores. Phoenix Feather. Ollivander called it the most extraordinary core. Not the most powerful, the most extraordinary. There's a difference. Phoenix Feather wands have the greatest range of magic of any core, but they don't hand that out for free. These wands take longer than any other to warm up to their owner. They're picky, selective. They won't perform just because you show up. The Phoenix is one of the most independent creatures in existence, and that attitude transfers directly into the wand. Ollivander also noted that Phoenix Feather wands sometimes act of their own accord, which sounds useful until you realize your wand is making independent decisions mid-duel. The most famous example is the one you already know, Harry and Voldemort. Twin cores, both feathers from Fawkes, the exact same Phoenix. 2 orphans raised by muggles, neither knowing what they were. One became the darkest wizard in history, the other ended him. Same core, completely different story. Fawkes only ever gave 2 feathers. Both ended up at the center of the most important duel in wizarding history. That's not a coincidence, that's wand lore. Dragon Heartstring. Dragon Heartstring wands are the highest achievers in the room. They learn fast, cast fast, and hit hard. Of the 3 Ollivander cores, this one produces the most powerful magic, and it knows it. But there's a catch. Dragon Heartstring is also the most likely to switch allegiance. Duel the owner and win, and the wand may just start responding to you instead. These wands respect power, not loyalty, not history, power. They also lean naturally toward intensity, particularly spells that require force. Subtlety is not their strong suit. Raw ability is. Look at who carried them. Hermione Granger, Bellatrix Lestrange, Lucius Malfoy, Minerva McGonagall, the most magically potent characters in the series on both sides of the war. Dragon Heartstring didn't care which side you were on, it cared how good you were. The wand chose Hermione and Bellatrix with equal enthusiasm. That tells you everything about how it thinks. Unicorn Tail Hair. If Dragon Heartstring is the overachiever, Unicorn Hair is the one you actually want beside you in a crisis. Unicorn Hair produces the most consistent magic of any core. No dramatic surges, no switching allegiances, no outbursts. It does what you ask every single time, bonding with its first owner and staying bonded, regardless of skill level. Unicorn Hair doesn't care if you're the most talented wizard alive. It cares if you're its wizard. Ron Weasley, Neville Longbottom, Cedric Diggory. Loyal, decent, determined. Exactly the kind of people this core chooses. One downside, Unicorn Hair wands are prone to melancholy if seriously mishandled. Yes, a wand can get sad. If the hair dies, the whole core needs replacing. Slightly dramatic for a piece of wood, but then again, so was Neville. Thestral Tail Hair. Only one wand in recorded history has a Thestral Tail Hair core, the Elder Wand. That alone should tell you something. Thestral Hair cannot simply be mastered by winning the wand. It can only be truly mastered by someone who has faced death and accepted it. That is not a skill you can study for. This is precisely why Voldemort struggled with the Elder Wand despite possessing it. He had spent his entire existence running from death. The wand sensed that, and it never fully submitted to him. Harry walked willingly into the forest to die. No hesitation. And when the final confrontation came, the Elder Wand recognized its true master, the one who had accepted death and refused to kill him. The wand didn't choose based on power. It was based on something Voldemort could never understand. That's Thestral Hair. Unstable, extraordinary, and deeply symbolic. Veela Hair. Ollivander refused to use Veela Hair, full stop. He considered it far too temperamental for reliable wand making. Veela are magical beings of extraordinary beauty and equally extraordinary volatility. When they're calm, they're enchanting. When they're not, they transform into something considerably less pleasant. That duality goes straight into the wand. Veela Hair wands tend to perform brilliantly under favorable conditions and unpredictably under pressure, which is, if you think about it, the worst possible quality in a wand you'd actually want in a dangerous situation. Fleur Delacour carried one, 9.5 inches, inflexible. Veela Hair core from her grandmother. Fleur is part Veela herself, which probably explains why the wand worked for her. She understood its moods. She matched its energy. Most wand makers avoided this core entirely. Grigorovich apparently experimented with it. The results were, by all accounts, inconsistent. consistent. Thunderbird Tail Feather. This is where the core gets genuinely interesting. Thunderbird Tail Feather wands were crafted by Shikoba, Wolf, and Choctaw descent, and they are extraordinarily powerful, but they have one quality that sets them apart from everything else on this list. They can sense danger, and when danger is sensed, they can cast curses on their own, without the owner doing anything at all. That is not a quirk, that's the one acting as a fully autonomous defense system. They're also particularly prized by transfigurers, difficult to master and demanding of strong nerves. But when the right person finds one, the combination is formidable. Horned Serpent Horn. Horned Serpent Horn cores were used by Isolde Sayer and James Stewart, the founders of the Ilvermorny School, the North American equivalent of Hogwarts. What makes this core extraordinary is its sensitivity. Horned Serpent Horn wands can warn their owner of danger, not by casting spells but by emitting a low musical tone, a quiet hum that says something is wrong, pay attention. They're also exceptionally sensitive to parcel tongue. A wand with this core responds differently in the presence of a parcel mouth, becoming more alert, more attuned. Given that the horned serpent itself is a creature of significant magical intelligence, that sensitivity makes complete sense. The most notable example is Chadwick Boots' wand. When he and his brother Webster used twin-cored horned serpent wands together, their power increased tenfold. Brother wands working in concert. The wand lore equivalent of a two-man army. Basilisk horn. Salazar Slytherin's wand had a basilisk horn core. Of course it did. Basilisk horn is one of the darkest core materials in recorded wand lore. Slytherin passed the wand down through his descendants, eventually reaching Gormlaith Gaunt, who used it to attack Ilvermorny in its earliest years. The wand's affinity for the dark arts wasn't incidental, it was fundamental. Basilisk horn also responds to parcel tongue in a uniquely dangerous way. A parcel mouth can speak to the wand directly, putting it to sleep, making it temporarily dormant. Gormlaith did exactly this to Chadwick Boots' wand mid-attack, whispering it into silence. A core that can be commanded in a language, even by wand lore standards, that is deeply unsettling. Rougarou hair. Rougarou hair wands were crafted by Violetta Beauvais, a Louisiana wand maker, and they carry a reputation that has followed them across centuries. The Rougarou is a creature of Cajun legend, part human, part wolf, connected to darkness and transformation. Its hair as a core was long rumored to have an affinity for the dark arts. Beauvais never denied it. She simply noted they were equally suitable for non-dark wizards, which is technically true, but the reputation stuck. This is one of a few cores where cultural mythology seems to genuinely influence the wand's behavior. Wand lore doesn't usually work on reputation alone, but Rougarou hair carries the weight of what the creature represents, not just what it is. Dark magic adjacent, culturally loaded, extremely rare outside Louisiana. Wampus cat hair. Wampus cat hair cores come from Isolde Sayer and James Stewart, the same Ilvermorny founders who worked with Horned Serpent Horn. The Wampus cat is a creature of Cherokee legend, a powerful, near impossible to kill predator with magical properties. Almost nothing has been officially documented about this core, which itself is telling. When wand lore is sparse, it usually means the wand keeps its secrets well. These wands represent a distinct wand-making philosophy rooted in indigenous magical heritage, rather than European conventions. Ollivander never used them. Grigorovich never used them. They belong to a completely separate lineage of wandcraft. Sometimes the most powerful things are the ones nobody bothered to write down. Snallygaster heartstring. Think dragon heartstring is impressive. The Snallygaster is a creature so feared that even dragons give it a wide berth. Snallygaster heartstring cores are among the rarest in documented wand lore. Almost nothing has been officially recorded, partly because the creature is nearly impossible to encounter, and partly because those who've worked with these wands have been reluctant to discuss it. What little is known suggests they share characteristics with dragon heartstring: power, intensity, bold spellwork, but wilder, less refined, less predictable. If dragon heartstring is the wand that wants to win, Snallygaster heartstring is the wand that doesn't care about the rules of winning. Kelpy hair. Kelpy hair is where wand making used to be before Garrick Ollivander changed everything. Gervais Ollivander, Garrick's father, used Kelpy hair regularly. Common, widely available, reasonably effective. One of the most frequently used cores before the Supreme Cores took over. Then Garrick watched his father struggle with inconsistent results. Kelpy hair wands failing when it mattered most. He decided there had to be better options and spent a lifetime finding them. The result was the 3-core system Ollivanders became famous for: phoenix feather, dragon heartstring, unicorn hair. Everything else, including Kelpy hair, was quietly retired. It became a relic, a reminder of where wand making had been, the wand core equivalent of a typewriter. Jackalope antler. The jackalope, a rabbit with antlers, a creature that sounds like someone made it up, is in fact a recognized magical creature in North American wizarding lore. Jackalope antler wands are rare even by North American standards. Documentation is nearly non-existent, placing them firmly in the category of cores that wand makers experimented with, but never developed into consistent tradition. What they represent is the sheer breadth of wandcraft. North America developed its wand-making tradition entirely separately from Europe. Different creatures, different properties, different magical relationships. Ollivander's 3 cores are not the only valid ones. They're just the most studied. The wizarding world is bigger than Diagon Alley. Who knew? White River Monster Spine. White River Monster Spine wands were crafted by Tiago Quintana, and they produce something specific: spells of force and elegance simultaneously. That combination is rarer than it sounds. Most powerful cores lean toward raw force. Elegance usually belongs to finesse-oriented materials. White River Monster Spine somehow manages both. The White River Monster is an Arkansas creature, aquatic, enormous, documented in American wizarding records. Quintana discovered that its spine produced wand cores with unusually refined output for such a physically imposing creature. Spells cast with these wands hit hard and look effortless at the same time, which, if you think about it, is the ideal quality in any magical tool. Power that doesn't look like it's trying. Curupira hair. And finally, a core that is rare for a very specific reason. Nobody wants to work with it. Curupira hair wands are deeply unstable, officially documented as having an affinity for powerful but unpredictable wizards, which is wand lore's polite way of saying the wand has no idea what it's going to do next, and neither does the person holding it. The Curupira is a creature from Brazilian folklore. A forest guardian with backward-facing feet, known for confusing those who enter its territory. That disorienting quality carries straight into the wand. It produces magic that surprises even its owner. Unexpected spells, unusual effects, results nobody planned for. In the wrong hands, a disaster. In the right ones, someone who can work with unpredictability rather than against it. Something else entirely. Now, let's get into the wood, because the outside of a wand matters just as much as what's inside it. Holly. Holly is Harry's wood, and Rowling didn't choose it accidentally. Ollivander describes holly as one of the rarer wand woods, traditionally associated with protection, and most suited to owners who struggle with anger and impetuosity. Sound familiar? Holly wands also tend to find their match among those on dangerous, often spiritual quests. Harry ticked both boxes before he was 12. What makes holly genuinely interesting from a wand lore perspective is how poorly it pairs with phoenix feather under normal circumstances. The wood's volatility conflicts with the phoenix's detachment. That combination should not work. It almost never works. And yet for Harry Potter it was a perfect match. Ollivander himself said that if such a pairing ever found its ideal owner, nothing and nobody should stand in their way. He sold Harry that wand not knowing he was fulfilling his own prophecy. You is Voldemort's wood, and again, not accidental. The wand of you is reputed to endow its possessor with a power over life and death. It has a dark and fearsome reputation in dueling and all manner of curses. But here's the part that often gets missed. You wands have been found in the possession of heroes just as often as villains. You doesn't choose dark wizards, it chooses those who will never be mediocre, never timid, never ordinary. Tom Riddle was extraordinary in the worst possible way, but the wand didn't choose him because he was dark. It chose him because he was exceptional. Where yew wands accompany their masters to death, the wand is said to sprout into a yew tree over the grave, standing guard. Voldemort never had a grave, which tracks. Elder, the rarest wand wood in existence, and the most misunderstood. The old superstition says, wand of elder, never prosper. Most wand makers refuse to work with it. Ollivander called this foolishness, a business decision dressed up as principle. Wand makers avoided the elder wood, not because they feared it, but because they doubted they could sell it. Elder chooses only the most unusual of wizards, the ones marked out for a special destiny, and it is deeply, almost aggressively loyal to the concept of superiority. The elder wand, the only known elder wand in existence, has changed hands more times than any other, always through defeat. It refuses to stay with anyone who isn't the best in the room. Dumbledore understood this better than anyone. He never sought the elder wand for power. He sought it to keep it out of dangerous hands. The wand respected that, mostly. Vine, Hermione's wand wood, 10 3/4 inches, vine, dragon heartstring. Vine wands are drawn to witches and wizards who seek something greater, who have a vision beyond the ordinary, and who frequently surprise the people who think they know them best. Hermione spent most of her Hogwarts career being underestimated by people who focused on the rules she followed, rather than the mind doing the following. The Vine Wand saw through that immediately. Vine is also notable for being more sensitive than almost any other wood when detecting a prospective match. Reliable accounts suggest Vine Wands have been known to produce magical effects upon the mere entrance of a suitable owner into the room, without being touched, the wand responding to a person before a person responds to the wand. Hermione's wand was always going to find her. It just needed her to walk in the door. Willow. Ron's wand, 14 inches, willow, unicorn hair. Willow wands, according to Ollivander, tend to choose owners with some insecurity, however well hidden. The family proverb goes, "He who has farthest to travel will go fastest with Willow." It's a wand for people who haven't reached their potential yet, people who are still becoming. Ron Weasley is the textbook example, youngest of 6 brothers, constantly in the shadow of his family's achievements and his best friend's fame, quietly, consistently underselling himself at every opportunity. The Willow wand saw what Ron couldn't see in himself, enormous potential buried under years of feeling like the least extraordinary person in any room he walked into. It found him not for who he was, but for who he was going to be. Not a bad hat trick for a stick of wood. Hawthorn, Draco Malfoy's wand, 10 inches, Hawthorn, unicorn hair. Gregorovitch described Hawthorn as a strange, contradictory wood, whose leaves and blossoms heal, and yet whose cut branches smell of death. Ollivander agreed, and he added that Hawthorn wands seem most at home with a conflicted nature, or with a witch or wizard in the middle of turmoil. Draco carried a Hawthorn wand for 6 years, while secretly tasked with assassinating Dumbledore, a mission he accepted out of fear and spent most of the year trying not to complete. If that's not turmoil, nothing is. There's also a notable quirk. Poorly handled Hawthorn wands tend to backfire, and Draco's spell work became noticeably less effective in his 6th year. Make of that what you will. When Harry disarmed Draco at Malfoy Manor, the Hawthorn wand switched allegiance on the spot. No hesitation. It had been waiting for someone who wasn't conflicted about using it. Hornbeam. Ollivander's own wand is made of hornbeam. He chose to include this detail in his wand lore notes, and it's worth paying attention to. Hornbeam selects for a witch or wizard with a single pure passion, what Ollivander diplomatically calls vision, and others might call obsession. It adapts faster than almost any other wood in its owner's magical style, becoming so uniquely personalized that other people find it nearly impossible to use even for simple spells. Ollivander devoted his entire life to wand lore. Not fame, not money, not power. Wands. The study of them, the craft of them, the mystery of them. A pure, consuming, lifelong obsession. The Hornbeam wand absorbed that entirely. It became an extension of his principles, literally refusing to perform acts that didn't align with his code of honor. A wand with a conscience, shaped by decades of devotion to a single pursuit. Rowan. Rowan is the most protective wood in existence. Full stop. Ollivander noted that no dark witch or wizard ever owned a Rowan wand in his entire career. Not one. The wood renders defensive charms particularly strong, almost unbreakable, and seems to actively resist being pointed in a harmful direction. This makes Rowan wands sound gentle, passive, purely defensive. That would be a mistake. These wands are the equal of any in dueling. They frequently outperform wands of flashier reputations when the situation demands it. Rowan doesn't win by being the loudest or the most aggressive in the room. It wins by being the most prepared, the most protected, and the most clear-headed. The wizarding world underestimates Rowan constantly. The Rowan wand has never once noticed. Ebony. Ebony wands are the ones who refuse to be anyone but themselves. Highly suited to combative magic and transfiguration, Ebony finds its match in the unconventional, nonconformists, individuals, people who wear the label of outsider without apology. What makes Ebony fascinating is that its owners span the entire moral spectrum, found equally among the Order of the Phoenix and the Death Eaters. Both groups rejected mainstream wizarding society for something they believe in more strongly. One side was right, the other catastrophically wrong, but both shared absolute conviction. Ebony doesn't ask if you are good, it asks if you're certain. The wand for people who decided who they were and never looked back. Blackthorn, a warrior's wand. No other description really covers it. Blackthorn wands are found among Aurors and among the inmates of Azkaban, which is, if you think about it, just 2 different kinds of fighters. What they share is a willingness to engage with danger directly, without flinching. The blackthorn bush is a contradictory plant. Wicked thorns, but some of the sweetest berries after the harshest winter. winter. The contrast goes straight into the wand. Blackthorn wands need to pass through hardship with their owner before they fully bond. They're not loyal from day one. They're forged into loyalty through shared experience. Give a Blackthorn wand a comfortable life and it'll perform adequately. Put it through something genuinely difficult and watch what it becomes. English Oak. The last wood on this list and arguably the most legendary. Merlin's wand was reportedly made of English oak. No grave has ever been found to confirm it, but the tradition persists, and the greatest wizard of the ancient world carried a wood that demands loyalty, courage, and strength from its owner, and gives exactly the same in return. English oak wands also give their owners powerful intuition and a deep affinity with natural wood, creatures, plants, and the living magic embedded in the earth itself. Merlin's command of nature and the boundary between magical and natural worlds aligns precisely with what oak wands produce. One last detail. The oak tree is called King of the Forest, but only until the summer solstice. When the days begin to shorten, holly takes the crown. Oak yields to holly every year without exception. Merlin's wood yielding to Harry's. Make of that what you will. But what about all 18 legendary wizards the Harry Potter movies never fully explained? That's your next lesson here at Stickmin Hogwarts. Watch now before your wand gets impatient and starts casting on its own.